Okay, so hello everyone and welcome to our supplemental video. So this time we are now in the week 5 or the lesson 5 of your subject, which is Introduction to Project Management. And today's topic we will be discussing about the aligning project with business strategy. So yan, so at the end of the lesson, you will be able to identify the phases that make up a project and discuss the importance of methods of selecting project, and you will be also able to apply the strategic in project management. Okay? So yan. So but before I formally start my lesson or discussion, may I just remind again, especially for those students who are not yet submitted or passed their requirements, to please do submit your requirements because week 5 is the last lesson or last module of your prelim. So ito na yung pinaka-last na lesson na natin sa prelim, and please pag hindi po kayo nakapag-submit ng requirements nyo, please do submit your requirements. Okay? So iwasan natin yung natatabunan tayo ng requirements kasi nga mas mahirap yung matabunan ng requirements or mapunuhan ng requirements. Yan, so kagaya nung nangyari last na natabunan yung mga ibang estudyante ng mga requirements, so ang nangyari ay tinamad na sila. So yan, so yun yung iniiwasan natin, okay? So if you have time, please visit us here in school and please do submit your requirements. So yan. And another reminder is please have with you your module every time you watch or listen to our supplemental video. Kasi nga mas madali, mas maganda pag hawak-hawak ninyo yung mga module ninyo while listening or watching in this supplemental video. So yan. So favor ko lang na sana panoorin ninyo lahat ng mga videos kasi or to mga supplemental videos kasi nga it really helps you a lot to understand better the the lesson or the module that you have. So pag hindi kayo busy, pag may time kayo, panoorin nyo itong mga supplemental video na ito. Okay? And for those students who are not yet a member of our group chat, please i-personal message nyo ako or sabihan nyo ako para sa ganun ay ma-add ko kayo doon. Importante na member kayo doon sa GC natin kasi doon ako nag-disseminate ng mga announcement, and even doon din ako nagsisend ng mga links ng mga videos or supplemental videos. Okay? Yan. And as you can see, meron akong sinend doon ng mga link. So those are the link or those are the the link of our supplemental video, or at yun na din yung magiging access nyo doon sa YouTube channel namin. Wherein yung YouTube channel namin, andun na lahat, naka-upload na lahat yung mga supplemental videos doon. Okay? So yan. So those are my friendly reminders, and I hope na na-remind na naman kayo ulit at sana hindi kayo makulitan sa akin. Okay, so again, we are now in the last lesson or last topic of your prelim examination, your prelim. And we will be discussing about the aligning project with business strategy. Okay, so yan. So let's move on. Okay, so since we will be discussing about business strategy, so we have here the strategic planning. So itong strategic planning na ito, it becomes meaningless in absence of a way to execute plan strategies. So when you say plan strategies or strategic planning, is importante ito na magkaroon kayo ng mga strategies or how will you going to plan pagka nagpatayo kayo or gumawa kayo ng isang project. 'Di ba? So kagaya sa inyo, 'di ba? So you have your plans in life. So how will you going to for example, if you have a problem, so what are the strategies na gagawin mo para ma-solve yung isang problem na yun, or para what are your strategies para maging successful ka dun sa gagawin mo na yun. Okay? So, yan. So, kunwari, sa mga estudyante is what are your strategy on for you to achieve your plans in life or goal in life. So, siguro yung first strategy ninyo is mag-aral kayo ng maayos, pagbutihin nyo na mag-aral, di ba? So yun. So when it comes to business naman is or in creating or in in putting up a business sana is importante yung strategic planning as a part of part dun sa pagpaplano mo kung paano ka gagawa ng isang project or sa business sana. So yung strategic planning na yan, sabi ko nga kanina is become meaningless in the absence of a way to execute plan strategies. So yun, mga organizations execute their strategies through the creation of strategic initiatives. So compromising portfolios of programs and projects, so yan, so which has become yung vehicle nila for executing the organization's strategy. So, so to what extent integrating corporate strategy with project portfolio management will contribute to organizational success? So yan. So so pag maganda yung plano mo, pag maayos yung plano mo or strategic plan mo or strategic planning mo, for sure na magiging successful yung business or yung magiging successful yung organization nyo. Yun. So, to seek answer on this question, so which has significant importance for execute and project managers alike. So the Center for Business Practices conducted a survey noong November 2005. So yung targeting of a broad spectrum of organizations. So you have representative of 87 leading companies responded. So yung result, companies using identified best practices most consistently had the highest rates for project success. So that was in 2005. So so this paper and subsequent presentation will going to discuss later on. Okay? So pag-uusapan muna natin kung why align projects with strategy. So bakit yung align project is merong strategy? Ano sa tingin nyo? So Fortune magazine has reported that 9 out of 10 corporate strategies devised on the executive level never come to fruition. Okay, so ang rason, isa sa mga rason for this is found in a survey conducted by the Society for Human Resource Management and the Balance Scorecard Collaborative. So 73% of polled organization ay sinabi nila na they had a clearly articulated strategic direction. Pero only 44% of them communicated that strategy well to the employees who must implement it. So itong mga company nito are like a body whose brain is unable to tell it what to do. So perhaps out of frustrations with these failures, karamihan sa mga companies or madami sa mga companies are spending less time on the strategy. So yung according to the research is pinakita nila na 60% don't think link strategies and budgeting. So 85% naman of management teams spend less than 1 hour a month discussing yung strategy. So importante talaga na sa isang business is kailangan pinagdidiskusyasahan or pinag-uusapan kung ano yung magiging strategy or what would be your plan para maging successful ka dyan sa business na yan. So yun, kaya nga parang kami din, 'di ba? Every Friday we have our faculty meeting which is nagdi-discuss kami kung ano yung magiging strategy namin para maging effective yung pag-deliver ng lesson. 'Di ba? So every Friday may mga yun as naglalabasan kami ng mga ideas, mga strategy namin on how we're going to reach out sa inyo or para mas mabilis kaming maka communicate sa inyo. So since hindi wala tayong face to face, so one of our strategy or plan is itong ginagawa namin which is nagkakandak or nagre-record kami ng supplemental videos. Okay? So yan. Okay, so next is we have also here the 4 phases that make up a project. Okay, so we have here the 4. So first is you have project monitoring and control. Second is you have the initiation and planning. And next is you have the execution. And next is you have the project closing. Okay, for these 4 phases that make up a project, so any project from a new business venture to property construction is carried out in phases. So yung number of phases dun sa project will vary according to the project's type and dun sa manager's techniques and may range from 4 to 6 steps. So it's up to you. Okay? So itong step na to can be grouped into 4 phases, so which is consists of initiation and planning and execution, monitoring and control, and closing. So yan. Okay? So kaya nga tinawag siyang 4 phases that make up a project. So for this project monitoring and controlling, so itong third stage often overlaps with the second stage. So specifically, yung project monitoring and control involves yung mga managers making sure that yung task deadlines are met, or yung kunwari yung deadline ng project nila is dapat ma-meet nila. Okay, so kagaya ng kunwari mga infrastructure sana, yung mga engineer sana na nakalagay, 'di ba mayroon silang estimated date kung kailan matatapos yung project. Is kailangan ma-meet mo yung deadline ng project na 'yon, 'di ba? So yan. So and of course, yung cost din are within the allocated budget. So hindi pwedeng mas malaki yung gasto mo kaysa dun sa budget ng project na yon. So dapat marunong ka din mag-estimate, or marunong ka din on how will you going to control yung how do you call that one, or ma-meet mo din yung cost sana, or yung estimated budget lang doon sa project na yun. So karamihan sa mga project is will encounter problems along the way. So hindi mo kasi kunwari yung na-purchase mo is may na-purchase ka na materials tapos biglang pumalpak, so kailangan palitan mo. So hindi natin maiiwasan yung mga ganong na-experience natin pagka tayo ay how do you call that one, nasa kagitnaan ng pagbuo dun sa project na yun. Kaya nga sabi natin na karamihan sa mga project or most will encounter problems along the way. So, hindi mo talaga maiiwasan yun. So, any such are yung mga certified at this stage. So, the manager will also ensure that the project's original plan is adhered to. Okay? So, yan yung project monitoring and control. Okay? So, kaya nga 'di ba may mga engineers tayo na they will going to, or may mga managers tayo na sila yung mga nagmo-monitor dun sa project. Okay? Kasi nga mas maganda na along the way pa lang, or habang binubuo mo yung project na yon, is dapat alam mo na kung ano yung mga problem. Mas mabilis, mas maganda yun kaysa naman tapos mo na, tapos ganito pala yung problem ng project. So mas mahirap yon. Okay? So kagaya nga ng pag-create or pagde-develop natin ng mga computerized system, na kaya nga tayo may test and debug para alam natin na yung kung ano yung problem niya before pa natin siya mai-promote sa market, di ba? So kaya nga may test and debug, or kailangan i-test mo, tinetest mo lagi. Okay? Ayan. Next is you have the initiation and planning. So itong phrase na to is often broken into two. So one of these for initiation and one for planning. So yung former entails budget outlines, so the timeline needed or kailangan for project delivery, as well as the overall goal of the project. So the phrase is essentially about laying out the project's mission in sum. So it is a formalization of the project core idea. So itong planning phase kasi na ito is delves into a little more detail. So managers will kailangan i-consider what specific steps and tasks ang kailangan for project delivery. So kailangan lahat ng step and task will have its own estimated cost and timeline. So when you say timeline yung deadline, or kailangan ma-meet mo yung deadline date, or ma-meet mo yung deadline date. Okay? Although this estimation don't need to be entirely accurate. Kaya nga estimate, kasi nga hindi naman kailangan na lahat tong estimation na ito is kailangan ma-meet mo siya doon sa specific deadline sa na time, di ba? Ito lang kasi maging guide mo. Kunwari, nag-project ka or gumawa ka ng isang project tapos kailangan matapos siya within December 25 or December 20. So, lumagpas siya ng December 23, 24, okay lang yun. So, parang yan lang yung magiging basis mo or maging guide mo. Kaya nga sabi dito, hindi naman kailangan maging accurate yung estimated na nilagay mo or estimated date sana nilagay mo. Okay? So, yan. So kailangan, so it gives yung project managers a general idea about the project's feasibility and delivery time. So kaya nga nang sinabi ko kanina, yan lang yung maging guide mo. Yan, maging basis mo lang para siguro is maging on time ka or rikalatuan para ma-motivate or kailangan yan, di ba? So kailangan yan. Next is you have the execution. So, really starts of the project's implementation. So, execute. Okay? Ito is yung strict budget management comes into play here. So, as the project has left the planning phase, is in full swing. So, managers will want to be consistently updated doon sa project's progress as they have full knowledge of how the project is coming off the ground. So, yung reason or for this reason, yung mga project managers will constantly communicate with their employees. Yan. So, receiving not only yung updates pero kailangan alam din nila or alam din nila kung ano yung problem na nai-encounter nila dun sa project na yun. So, for example, sa amin, kunwari, uh, as si Ma'am GOG sana or si Ma'am Glad sana is admin siya. So, kailangan alam niya yung kilala niya dapat yung mga employees niya or ano yung nagiging problem ng employees niya. So, karapatan niya ding malaman, 'di ba? Kung ano yung mga na-encounter nilang problems. Yan. So, ngayon na hindi walang face to face at nagmo-module tayo, is kailangan niya din yung idea or ano yung nagiging problem na na-encounter namin as a employee para sa ganun ay yun yung gawan natin ng solution, di ba? So, yan. Okay, so yung mga project managers are also constantly in touch with their clients at this stage. So as during the execution phase, inventors are most concerned about the project's development. So yan, so kailangan yung mga project mga dito sa stage na to, itong execution na to is kailangan maging in touch ka dun sa mga kliyente mo, especially dito sa stage na ito. Okay, so yan. So during yung execution phase, yung mga inventors are most concerned about dun sa project's development. Okay? Yan. Next is you have the project closing. So dito sa may for this last phases that make up a project, itong project closing na ito is yun, no matter how many phases there are doon sa project, so yung closing stage is always the last. So ito yung pinaka-last, kaya nga closing kasi always last. So yung phase is of course involve two elements. So it involves two elements. So the first of this is making a report that details how the project ran over the previous three phases. So the report will analyze the project's initial goals compared to its current state and identify any problems encountered along the way, and of course kung ano yung mga steps which is kailangan na aksyonan or para ma-address dun sa problem. So yung second element of this phase is yung project review. So yan, so importante din na kailangan magkaroon ng project review. So yan, so which is the project team meeting where team members can put in their own input regarding dun sa project's implementation. So when we say project reviews, dito nyo na i-review yung features ng project, so which is pwede kayo siguro mag-conduct ng general meeting, yan. Pag-uusapan ninyo kung on how will you going to implement or promote that project into the market. Yan. Okay, so those are the 4 phrases that make up a project. Next is you have the methods of, Sorry. Okay, so next is you have the methods of selecting project. Yan. So, we have here the methods of selecting a project. So, first is understand your role. So, yan. So, kailangan alam mo kung ano yung role mo, di ba? So, what is my role? What is my function dito sa project na to or in selecting a project? Okay, so the success of an enterprise offends on the projects it selects. So it's an area of project management and indeed business management. So that should not be overlooked. So kailangan pag nag-review ka ng project, kailangan matindi na pag-aralan mo or i-review mo yung project. Okay? So first is you understand your role. So actual project selection decision. So in reality, is yung project managers is rarely get to make actual project selection decision. So yung mga decisions na yun are most often made by the executive leadership or perhaps yung project management office. Pero does not mean na PM is left out of the process. So, yun, a good project manager should lend their experience and expertise doon sa pag-select ng process or selection process or yung thus offering an educated and unbiased opinion about the pros and cons of various project. So, yan. So, kailangan as a good project manager is kailangan uh, 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 ibigay mo na or gamitin mo yung pagiging well experienced mo and then pagiging expertise mo in selecting a process or selecting process doon sa pag-select ninyo ng project. Okay? So after all, you may be the only one person with any real project management experience to weigh into the decision. So as such, you can offer you unique insight doon sa potential or into the potential benefits and risk of each project. So when we say risk of each project is rich and risk and resource requirements especially. So moreover, as a project manager or as a good project manager, pwede ka ding uh, pwede ka ding mag-serve or you can serve as a useful surrounding board for ideas from the executive leaderships. So they may believe a particular project can be done within a specified budget range. So for example, but your past experience may suggest otherwise. This is the time to speak up. Okay, so you are also in a unique position para makatulong or to help suggest the type of project to be undertaken. Okay, so perhaps there are problems or mga inefficiencies to be resolved doon sa business or within the business. And solution is kailangan. So, pag mga ganun na naka-experience ka ng mga problems, mga inefficiencies, is kailangan ma-solve mo doon or doon sa business na experience yung mga yun is kailangan yun yung mga bigyan mo ng solution. So using your experience and understanding doon sa my organizational needs, so you may be in an excellent position to suggest the best project approach for a given situation. So yun yung sa good project manager. So you should also understand your role. Ako ba as a good project manager, ano ba yung role ko? Ako ba yung taong or ako ba yung manager na mag-uutos-utos na lang diyan? Ako ba yung manager na pag may problem, bahala kayo diyan. Andiyan naman yung mga mga member ko na sila na lang bahala mag-solve diyan sa problem na yan. Ganun ba yun? So kailangan pag pinasok mo yung role na yun or position na yun, dapat alam mo kung anong role mo. Parang ako sana, 'di ba? Nag-teacher ako, nagturo ako, tapos ano ba yung role ko as a teacher? 'Di ba parang ganun? So alam mo dapat yung function mo, yung role mo. So ganun din pag project manager ka. Alam mo dapat yung role mo. And next is understand your organization. So kailangan intindihin mo yung organization mo. Okay? So as someone with input doon sa project selection matters, you must especially aware doon sa may organizational environment mo. So what are your key business drivers? What are your strengths and vulnerabilities as an organization? Do you have resource limitation? And if so, where are you lacking? 'Di ba? So yan, so kailangan intindihin mo yung organization mo. Hindi yung ikaw na lang lagi, 'di ba? So when performing this analysis, be mindful of past experience and refer to achieve information as much as possible. So whether a prior project went very well or very poorly, there are organizational and environmental factors which likely contributed to the outcome. So consider whether those factors have a change and be prepared para ma-discuss these matters openly and frankly. So yan. So after all, if an organization is fundamentally limited in terms of what it can achieve, whether for lack of skilled resources, excuse, funding or otherwise, it is very important na i-acknowledge mo ito earlier. So, kailangan kung alam mo na may problem, dapat karapatan ng organization na malaman. So, kung kulang yung fund, sabihin mo. Kung ganito yung problem, kulang ang yung lack of skilled resources, sabihin mo sa kanila. Okay? So, failure to weigh in candidly could result in a project being doomed to fail before it even kicks off. Okay? So, yan. So, pwede rin yung business seminar, di ba? Business seminar, part of understanding organization is yun, recognizing those players who will listen to your input and those whose input will carry weight with other decision makers. Yan. Mga programs and mga portfolio managers, you have the sponsors of past projects, and a host of other people may be very important here. Yan. So, since they are likely to have a high level of influence over the project selection, so when doing so, you should be conscious of what each person's key motivations are. So, if you are speaking to the uh, chief financial officer, for example, things like payback period and net present value are likely to be most critical. So, if you are speaking to the chief technology officer, things like resource availability and technical difficulty are likely to be paramount. Okay? So, yan. So, next is you have the understand the key benefit measurement methods. So, yan. Okay, so includes techniques like yung integer programming. Yan. So there are complex financial and analytical na tools that upper management uh, may use to choose yung amongst various projects. So which are collectively referred to as constraint optimization methods. So ito is include yung techniques like yung mga integer programming. So you have linear programming and yung mga dynamic programming. So itong mga complex na to or complex analysis na to is go beyond dun sa scope of this topic, di ba? Yan. So, and likely well beyond the scope of your role as a project manager in helping select a project. So instead, your focus should be on the more simplified technique which are collectively referred to as benefit measurement methods. So yun, so these techniques do not require advanced finance degree to understand and utilize, and are therefore often favored when choosing amongst various project options. Okay, so yan. So meron din tayo dito mga under the understand the key benefit measurement methods. You have benefit cost analysis, you have payback period, you have the discount cash flow analysis, you have net present value, and opportunity cost, and you have the scoring models. So yan. So for the, excuse me, sorry. Yan. So for the benefit cost analysis, so yan. So pwedeng benefit cost, ba? So let's start by reviewing one of the simpler techniques, which is yung itong benefit cost analysis. So ito is ito yung if you want to determine the overall financial benefits of the project, or ito yung the total amount of money it will generate, and compare that figure to what we must spend to complete the project. So yan, so kailangan alam mo din kung magkano yung mga gasto mo sa project na yan, para sa ganoon dapat marunong kang mag-compute kung magkano yung gastos mo sa project na yan. So yun, so Next, you have the payback period. So for the payback period, investment and time, another simple techniques one might use is yan yung tinatawag na natin na payback period. So where we determine the amount of time it will take to recoup or our initial investment from a project. So for example, if yung project natin is nag-spend tayo or gumasto tayo ng 500,000 to perform a project, and syempre expect natin it will return revenue at the rate of na kunwari 50,000 per year. So our payback period would be 10 years, so measurable from the date of project completion. So yan, so 10 years, di ba? Pero as with the benefit cost analysis, our result here can be misleading because they typically do not factor in the time value of money. So yes, we will ultimately recover yung 500,000 over 10 years, pero does not equal dun sa 500,000 in today's money. Kasi nga inflation and cost of capital are not usually factored in. So we therefore are not really comparing yung apples to apples. So since yung present value of that future revenues stream in actually much less than 500,000 once we discount that figure to present that present present day values. Next is you have the discount cash flow. So yan. So we have the discounted cash flow. So that bring us to our next technique, so which is called yan yung discount cash flow analysis. So itong tool na ito is yun, inaalaw tayo to determine yung present value. So in today's dollars or yeah, so of a future return. So to do this is kailangan is yung calculation, di ba? So we need to know yung mga tatlong bagay, which is yung the time it takes to recover yung money, di ba? So ilang years ba para maibalik sa yung gasto mo dun sa project na yun. Then the applicable discount rate, so usually the prevailing interest rate, so which may also factor in inflation cost. And last is you have yung amount of money that we will recover in the future. So magkano yung kailangan nating pera na pera para ma-recover natin yung ginasto natin. Okay? So yan. So meron diyan yung formula, which is tawag yung formula diyan sa may module ninyo. So tignan nyo na lang yung formula diyan kasi masyadong mahaba ito. Okay? So mas maganda pag tinitignan nyo yung pag nakita nyo yung formula dyan. So, check nyo yung formula dyan for discount cash flow analysis. Okay? Next is you have the net present value. Yan. So itong net present value is extension lang ito ng discount cash flow analysis. So, which is also allow us to derive more detailed information. So, specifically, yung net present value is it allow us to makita yung net gain or yung loss natin that will incur in each period. So dito na natin makikita kung magkano ba yung kinita natin or magkano ba yung loss natin. Okay? Yan. So ito tong project yan. So that is for the net present value. Okay, so meron din yung formula dyan. So you can check out your module. Ayan. Okay, so next is you have the opportunity cost. So when we say opportunity cost is in certain scenarios, so kailangan pumili tayo ng mga project and leave the other possible project behind. So in this scenario, we might use opportunity cost and analysis para matulungan tayo sa mga decision natin. Yan. So for example, assume na lang natin na yung project A has a potential net return of 50,000 or $50,000 and yung project B has a potential return of $100,000, pero we could not do them both. So, hindi natin sila pwedeng gawin na dalawa. Okay, so yung opportunity cost is the amount of profit we will forgo opportunity cost by choosing the one project over another. So, assuming na lang na yung opportunity cost na yon is selected project B. So, kunwari, pinili natin si project B, which is mas malaki yung income natin. So, that means we could not pursue the benefits that project A offered. Okay? So, syempre, ngayon, in reality naman talaga, di ba? So, pag yung opportunity, madaming opportunity dyan sana, sabay-sabay yung opportunity na dumating na yon, is pipiliin natin yung talagang magbe-benefit tayo or talagang magiging masaya tayo, di ba? So, syempre, yung isa, si Project A is 50,000 lang yung offer. Then, si Project B is 100,000. Syempre, dun tayo kay 100,000. Okay? So, yan. Okay, so naturally, we want to keep our opportunity cost as low as possible. So there will always be a opportunity cost when choosing amongst more than one profitable opportunity. So, pero yung idea is to minimize that cost as much as possible. So itong technique na to is unlikely to be utilized on its own as a project selection tools, pero would more likely be used in conjunction with another technique para matulungan tayo na makapag-decide. Yan. So, next is we have the scoring models. So, yan. So, itong scoring model naman na ito is yun. So, usually, moving away from the strict financial analysis. So, another helpful way to another things na makakatulong din tayo para mag-evaluate ng potential projects is ma-rate them on a various weighted criteria and come up with overall score. So, for example, let's choose 5 criteria sana that are important to us. So, for example, we will use profitability, and then you have the technical difficulty, you have the resource strain, risk, and stakeholder support for this example. So we want to weigh these various criteria so that they collectively add up to 100%. So let's say sana na profitability is ito yung pinaka-importante. So kunwari 40%. Next is yung technical difficulty, kunwari 20%. Tapos yung resource strain, kunwari 15%. Tapos risk also being weighted at 15% and yung stakeholder support coming in 10%. So yan. So next we need to kailangan i-determine natin kung paano yung score ng bawat projects na yon on a various ranking. So we want to identify some consistent value para magamit natin dito. So para ma-ensure natin yung raw scores assigned for each attribute add up to 100 across all projects. So for example, if we have 5 possible projects na we might use yung predetermined scores of let's say na 5, 10, 20, 25, and 40. So to ensure they collectively will add up to 100. So this aligns with our weighting figure, which is also add up to 100. So pagka na-analyze na natin each possible project by multiplying its score for each criterion by the percentage way that criterion was assigned in order to get a weighted score for that particular project attribute. So let's assume na lang na kunwari si project A seems like highly profitable sana siya. So we give it a score of kunwari 40 in the profitability column. So yung 40 na yun is multiplied by 0.4. So since we weigh the profitability attribute at 40% at a total concern, so the combined score for profitability would then be 16. Okay? So yan. So itong technique na ito is especially very useful siya in cases our organization plays a particularly heavy emphasis on one particular project aspect or constraint. So naturally, yung itong ating tendencies na to may change yung over time or may change over time. So pag kunwari yung organization is currently understaffed, so for example, then resource strain will likely be weighted most heavily. Okay? So yan. So apart from this ability to weigh key concerns as a part of the overall score, so itong technique din na ito, itong scoring models na ito is also popular kasi nga nagpo-provide siya ng highly objective way of analyzing yung potential project options. So once na yung weights and yung scores are assigned, we simply let the math decide which project should be chosen or ano yung pipiliin mo project. Okay? Yan. Okay, so that is for our week 5. So this is the last lesson or module for your prelim I mean. Okay, so I hope you understand, and if you have any questions or queries, please do not hesitate to ask me through our GC or through my personal messenger. Okay, so for your requirements or activity, so you will going to answer this one into 5 to 10 sentences. So yan. So for question number 1, why is it important to align project with business strategy? So bakit kailangan sa isang business strategy, or bakit kailangan i-align yung projects with business strategy? Next, if you have, as we experience pandemic, what do you think the COVID-19 crisis can teach you about project management? Then for number 3, some of the business today are declaring bankruptcy because of the pandemic. If you were one of the owner of the business, what would be your best strategy for your business not be affected? So at least 5 strategy and discuss. Number 4 is, how would you apply methods of selecting project in COVID-19 times? So yan, talagang ilalabas na dyan yung mga strategies. Okay? Okay, so that is for today, and sorry. So if you have any questions, sorry. Okay, so that is for today, and if you have any questions or point of clarification, please do not hesitate to ask me, ha? So thank you guys for listening, and mag-iingat tayo palagi, keep your immune system strong, always wear your face mask pag lumalabas kayo, then always wash your hands, mag-sanitize kayo, then maintain social distancing, especially sa mga crowded places. So thank you guys for listening, and I hope di kayo magsawa na makinig sa mga supplemental videos. Para din lang naman sa inyo to. Mag-iingat tayo palagi, and God bless us all. And I would like also to remind that your prelim examination will be on September 20 to 24. Please accomplish or complete your requirements from week 1 to 5 so that you can take your examinations. Okay, so thank you, and God bless us all.